Lynn Souza with Computer Connect. Welcome.
Computer, yep.
Connect.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for having me.
Yes, good for you to be here. Now we have a few questions. First of all, you're in the computer technology area. How long have you been in business?
We've been in business 32 years, actually. Connect Computer has existed for 32 years. I haven't always been there for those 32 years. But yeah, we've been a mainstay in Fairfield, Connecticut for, again, it's a lifetime. It's more than a lifetime in technology years.
That's right.
Yep.
Now, what are a few ways a person can protect themselves and their data when using the internet?
That's a great question, Stephen. It really is important that people protect themselves on the internet and just be vigilant about what they do. Not clicking on things that they don't really know. Was this email sent to me? It was sent to me by a friend, so there's an attachment. Sure, I'm going to click on it. No, only click on things you know. Only click on links when you know where they're going to go. Attachments when you're expecting it. One of the other things that people don't like to hear me say is stay off of public Wi-Fi. So if you're in a coffee shop, if you want to use their public Wi-Fi, please only surf the web. Do not use it for entering any kind of credentials. Don't log into your Facebook account. Don't log into your LinkedIn, Shutterfly, Snapchat, whatever, because that information travels through the air and can get stolen. Can get stolen right out of the air unless you have a corporate VPN, a virtual private network software on a laptop or tablet, whatever. Then that's okay. But otherwise, please, when you're in all these public Wi-Fi areas, coffee shops, stores, only use the internet for browsing, reading news, things like that. Do not log into anything that requires a username and password.
Now, how many people know that?
Not a lot, not a lot. And it's really one of the easiest ways. I mean, with a small little device that they sell right out there on the internet, someone could just be sitting at a table 5 tables away from you and capturing information. Sometimes people set up what we call like a man in the middle. It's a internet connection. So you're at Starbucks, and let's say the Wi-Fi is Starbucks. Well, they set up a Wi-Fi that piggybacks on that says Starbucks free. People don't even pay attention to what they're connecting to. They just see open, let me connect, right? Well, now they have everything. Now everything is going through them. They can collect everything. Yeah, it's a huge problem. And third, again, people don't like to hear me say this, but you have to be vigilant with your passwords. And you really should not use the same password for all of your information. So you should have a different password, a uniquely different password for Facebook, as you do Snapchat, as you do LinkedIn, as you do your network, especially on your corporate network. Because, LinkedIn was hacked a few years ago. All the username and passwords are out there. Yahoo just reported 3 billion, all of its users, 3 billion users. Usernames and passwords are out there.
I'm on Yahoo.
And you're on Yahoo. And chances are, like so many other people, your password is the same password you use everywhere else because we don't want to remember 15 things, right? 20 things. I mean, everything has a password to log in. So, it really is critical that you use unique passwords. And there's password software out there that'll help you manage that. You can just do a search, for password management software. There's consumer grade, there's corporate grade, and it will help you manage that. But it's really important that you not use the same password for every single site.
Very good. Now, this might blend in with what we were just talking about. What threats are you seeing most in your clients and our clients' world, and how is it affecting them?
Yeah, I mean, the proliferation of ransomware has just been out of control. A lot of people don't know ransomware actually started in 1989 with something called the AIDS Trojan. And it was on a floppy disk. And it requested the user to send something like $189 or something in that range to Panama. And flash forward to 2013 when CryptoLocker comes out. And what really has enabled the ransomware to spread and become such a nuisance is the invention of Bitcoin. Bitcoin now on the internet, people can just go buy Bitcoin. It's an exchange between me and you. There's no banks involved. You use what's an address, and that address is kept in a public charter. But there's ways you can hide yourself behind that address, so to make it relatively anonymous. And so now ransomware just requires Bitcoin. You go in, you pay, and that's it. And something like 4,000 ransomware attacks a day happen right now. I mean, while we were sitting here, probably 20 just happened. And it's a huge problem. I think I saw something from the FBI saying that ransomware will hit the collection of ransoms $1 billion this year.
Wow, that sounds like terrorism on the internet.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It is cyber terrorism, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's what we're fighting these days.
That's unbelievable what's going on. Everybody's trying to take advantage of something, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Now, how has the cyber threat landscape changed over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, as I just said, ransomware. 2015, I think there was like 1,000 attacks a day. As I just said, 4,000 now. It's grown like 600%. How we looked at a network, 2012, 2011, how we managed it, it was mostly about administration and management, uptime for hardware. You don't want a hard disk to fail. You want it to be preemptive and all of that. Now it's security. I mean, it really is. Sure, you have to still pay attention to all of those things, but you have to now look at a corporation, look at their network, look at their data from a security standpoint, because that's the real threat these days. Is people coming in, hacking in, finding ways to get into your network and stealing your data. And I have a lot of people say, well, my data's not important to anybody else. No, but it's important to you. Yes. And what will you pay to get that data back? And the real cost of ransomware, even though I've already said it's very high, the real cost is in the downtime. It's in the loss of reputation. I don't know if everybody remembers WannaCry, the WannaCry that came out last year, hit most of the UK. Thank God we didn't get it here in the United States. There was about $100,000 paid in ransoms, but the cost of that, because it spread so quickly and it hit so many places, that the real cost of that for downtime and everything else was about $1 billion.
Wow.
On only $100,000, only $100,000 paid in ransom. So that's really what companies are up against these days. It's the security aspect.
Now, what industry do you think gets hit the hardest by cyber terrorism?
It's not really an industry, but small to medium businesses are just so vulnerable. They are so vulnerable. 43% of all cyber attacks are against small to medium businesses. And of those, 60% of the small to medium businesses that get attacked are out of business within 6 months. It's really terrible. A Target can get hacked, and maybe their stock slips a little bit, but they're going to come back. I mean, Equifax may even survive the disaster that happened. Yes. But a small to medium business just doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the capital. They don't have what it takes to be able to survive a huge hit like that. And the small to medium businesses, we hear all the political people say it, but they really do make up the backbone of the United States.
Exactly.
Especially here in Connecticut, we do a lot of work in Rhode Island. There are so many businesses, family-owned businesses, nonprofits, all that just simply can't afford, in so many ways, to be, the subject of a ransomware or any other security breach.
Now, with that in mind, me as an individual or a business, what antivirus software should I be purchasing?
Sure. So, antivirus is kind of an older nomenclature. I know everybody, or mostly everybody, still uses it. And the way antivirus worked was the virus would come out, and antivirus wouldn't be able to detect it because it didn't have a signature file loaded to it yet, which recognized the virus, right? So a virus would come out, let's talk about Code Red back in 2001, right? So Code Red came out, and it took a while for the virus software companies to actually figure it out, dismantle it, how they can detect it, and then push the signature file down to the antivirus so that it can now identify it and block it. So what we really push now, we started doing it with all of our clients last year, is something that is more of a zero-day threat intelligence. It's the same thing. It's a piece of software that you put on your desktops, laptops, computers, anything that you want to protect. But it works differently. It doesn't require a signature. It uses heuristics and algorithms to determine how you use your computer. It watches you. It does machine learning. It says, okay, this person regularly launches these applications, these executables. This is how they use their day. And then if it sees something, an executable or an application launch that's outside of that normal use, it shuts it down. No questions asked. It shoots first, asks questions later, right? And it'll shut it down. It'll pop up an alert. And we go in and we look and we say, okay, maybe this is an application that you only use once a year, tax time, who knows, That's okay. We whitelist it, say, yep, no problem. But it's a much faster response. It's not requiring for people to understand what's going on out there. Ransomware, viruses, they all have certain code. They all sort of work in the same way. And so you can kind of understand that and defend against it without actually needing to know exactly what it is. So
when that happens, can I turn my computer back on?
So what happens is it won't shut your computer down. It'll just shut down the process that ran. It'll pop you up. It'll pop you up a note that says, "Hey, we shut this down." It's funny because the old mainstays, McAfee and Norton, right, Symantec, right? They're really playing second fiddle now to Carbon Black, to Cylance, and the new kids on the block of cybersecurity, because that's where it really needs to be with the endpoint protection.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, what is the difference about the way you have to support a client today versus, let's say, 2 years ago?
Sure. I mean, this kind of goes with what I said earlier. It's all about security. We look at a network, we look at a business's data, we really say through the lens of a hacker. I've got some really genius staff that could use their talents for evil instead of good, but they choose to use them for good. And the things that they can look at, the ideas that they have that never even crossed my mind. And I'm technical. I'm an engineer. I've got my Microsoft certification and and everything else. And their brain just works at a whole nother level. And so we really look at the cloud down, bottom up. Where are the breach points? Not only how do we monitor and alert, because alerting is reactive. Okay, we look at if someone were to get into the network, how can we deceive them? How can we use deception, right? So we have software that will put out like little honeypots, that if someone's on the network and looking for information, that they'll see this and they'll think, oh, I'm going to go grab that piece of data. It's an administrator password or something. And so they go to grab it, and immediately we know there's something there. So their targets are grabbing our fake data as opposed to real data. These are the things that we are now looking into. These are the things that we are now doing for our clients. Whereas 2 years ago we were still talking about Microsoft patching and making sure that hardware was, as I said, was running, and it was all about administration, management. And now it's really about security.
So you're proactive.
Absolutely, you have to be. You have to be. Everyone is saying it. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. It's going to happen. You are going to get breached one way or another. And I know I don't mean to say that in a scary way. I really don't. I don't. It's hard to educate people on this stuff without sounding like gloom and doom. And that's not what I want to do, but it's just a matter of time. I say it's always like that Clint Eastwood movie In the Line of Fire, where he talks about someone who wants to assassinate a president. And he said if they're willing to give their life for the president, there's nothing anyone can do.
Right.
You know, and he's a Secret Serviceman. He says, I just hope they get me instead. You know, and that's kind of what we're doing. You know, I mean, if they can hack the NSA, if they can do all of that, of course they're going to be able to hack. You know, even with what we do.
Yes.
You know, if it's bad enough, you know, they will get in.
They'll figure out a way.
You know, what we do is we try to make it as hard as possible. Stop all the entry points. You know, again, look at things from a hacker. What would a hacker do? How's a hacker going to try this? And then on the backside, inside the network, be proactive. So if they do get in, here, come grab my administrative password. Here, come grab this, you know, this yummy data. And then we have them. It's almost like hacking the hackers.
Yes. Well, you have scared me.
Again, not my intention. Not my intention.
And with that thought in mind, it says if there is one thing and only one thing a business owner could do to protect his company from cyber terrorism, what would that be?
It's got to be user education. You know, with all the bells and whistles and everything that I just talked to you about, right? All the technology that's out there doesn't do a darn bit of difference if your users, if your employees are just click happy. You know, Warren Buffett has a quote, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. He says if you think about it that way, you'll do things differently. I like to make a little adaptation to that and say it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 1 click to lose it. And if you think about that, you'll do things differently. You really need to educate your employees. You know, put posters on cybersecurity in the lunchroom, and really get them some kind of education to be able to spot spam, phishing attempts when they're trying to get data from you. It all starts and ends with your employees. You're only as strong as what you can teach your employees. And I love it when I'll send something out and someone will write back to me, well, I'm not clicking on this link because I don't know what it's about. And I write back, great email. That is exactly what you should do. And here's why I'm doing this. And here's how you know it's legit. You know, and so I use a little education. But it really does start.
So that's part of your service when you actually go into companies. You actually educate the employees.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the most important things any IT security company can do, is have a new hire education, have like monthly, quarterly emails that go out with tips, and every year, and maybe even every 6 months. Okay, we do it. We go in and we educate the employees on, because threats come out every day. New threats come out every single day.
Matter of fact, I've been to your company. You put on a little program there, which was actually interactive. You have toys on your table.
We do.
It's fantastic. It gets you thinking.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's just, you know, think before you click. You know, and in terrorism these days, they say if you see something, say something. It's the same thing with cyber terrorism. If you see something in your email that just doesn't feel right, your gut, something. Say something. Go to your IT guy. Go to your IT, partner. Say something. Ask. Can I click on this? Is this okay? That is the best way to handle anything that feels off.
Okay. Now, if I were to go out and buy a service or a product, which would you recommend?
There's really 2 things I think that I would recommend. One we already talked about: password management. Right? It's so important. It really is important to have different unique passwords at all your levels. And especially you do not want to use the same password for your corporate work as you do for all of your personal stuff. Just protect your business. If your business goes out of business, you don't have a job. So it's everybody's responsibility to protect the business that they work for. The second thing I would say, honestly, these days is dark web monitoring. There is software out there that will go into the deep reaches of the dark web and look to see if your information is out there. If your email is out there, if your passwords are out there, and will let you know. And if you subscribe to a monitoring, they will monitor that continuously. So if I keep using the same olds, but if Facebook gets hacked and your password gets out there, then it will notify you immediately, hey, there was a breach, and we just saw as of yesterday, this information is out there. And it lets you be proactive, again, about changing your passwords.
Yeah, that happened to me on Facebook. Matter of fact, Facebook notified me and said somebody used my password. That's the way I had to change it.
Yep.
But, I'm a little slow, all right? And I might have missed the name of the product that you recommended.
The product, I try not to make too many recommendations. The product we use is actually corporate only. Password management, there's LastPass that's out there. There's 1Password. Dark web monitoring at a... I honestly, again, the one we use, and a lot of the ones that we've tested, we've built our own, and we've used commercial, but it's commercial for corporations, and so it's hard to make a recommendation on that. Yeah.
All right, so I might have stumped you.
Yeah, I mean, you can Google dark web monitoring,
Okay.
for an individual and see what's out there. Yeah, I'll have to look into for
Okay. All right, good. Now, what is dark web? Actually, what is that?
So yeah, so the dark web is where it's like the underbelly of civilization per se. The dark web is a part of what we call the deep web, right? And so the dark web is made up of all these things called dark nets. And dark nets, let's say, if we think about it as nets, right? So a net is cast here, and there's a bunch of people in it, and another net is cast here, and there's a bunch of people moving around in it. And all those nets together, okay, make up the dark web. And what happens on the dark web? Well, as I said, your usernames and passwords are out there. People can buy them. Credit card numbers are out there. People can buy them. Social security numbers are out there. People can buy them. Along with things like guns and some other very horrible things happen on the dark web. So you need special software to get there, and on that one I will absolutely be vague because I don't want to tell people how to do it.
Right.
But you need special software to get there. It's a place of the internet that is not indexed by search engines, so you can't go to Google and say, take me to darkweb.netcom or whatever. That doesn't work. It's not indexed. So you have to know when you get into the dark web, you have to know specifically where you want to go. You can't just Google, Bing, whatever.
Can you get out of it?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But yeah, so that's where all this ransomware and everything, all the data that gets stolen. It's where all the Equifax data is going to appear. Over the next several years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what is necessary for a small business to be 100% secure?
Again, not to scare anybody, but no one's ever 100% secure. As I said, if the NSA can't be 100% secure, what you really need to do, what a business really needs to do, is team up with an IT security provider. Security is such a different animal. As I said, I can build networks. There's so many things that I can do. And when I look at when we have meetings and I listen to my guys think about how they would attack a network and what they would do, it's just on a whole nother level. It really is. And you have to be, I was just having a conversation earlier. It's like Microsoft coming out with a new operating system every month, or maybe even every day. Security moves that fast. Threats are developed that fast. And it really takes a dedicated team to stay on top of all of that. To be out there in the world of cybersecurity, with Twitter, with whatever, and have this whole resource of professionals that you can talk to, listen to, that will be the first sounding alarm on something new that comes out. It's very hard for companies, nearly impossible for them to do proper security themselves, even if they have an IT person, because chances are that IT person is a network administrator. And good network infrastructure, awesome. But they may know a little bit about security. They may be able to implement some of the basics, but deep security that's going to really protect, that really requires a dedicated IT security
That's what I was about to
person.
say. They need to stay on top of it all the time.
Absolutely. It is more than a full-time job.
Wow.
Really is.
Now, there are a lot of companies out there that say they offer security services. If I don't know very much about security, how can I choose?
Sure, and that's a great question. When we were doing network infrastructure, it was hard to explain to somebody why they should choose us over somebody else. You always had to find your value proposition, and now that we're in security, it's even harder because people just don't understand it. So I can tell you, yeah, we use this software, and but your eyes are going to glass over, and people become paralyzed with fear. And once you're paralyzed, you just don't make a decision, right? And so there's three pretty simple things, actually, that I can tell you. One is the professionals at the IT security firm, right? So go on say, hey, give me your, however many top 3 cybersecurity professionals go on LinkedIn and look at the jobs that they've held. Look at the certifications they have. Do they have security certifications? Have they had security experience? Or does their list of jobs just include network infrastructure? You really want to partner with an IT company that has IT security professionals. And the easiest way is just to go on LinkedIn and check it out. The second thing is focus. So a lot of companies will say they do IT security, and then you'll go on their website and they'll say, yes, we do IT security, and we do printer management, and we do this, and we do that, and we play football, and whatever it is. And you really want an IT security company that is dedicated to IT security, that is their focus, because as I said, it's more than a full-time job. Things change so fast. If their eye is on 18 different balls, you can't be on top of security if you're looking at 18 other things. I mean, unless it's like a 200-person firm and they have a dedicated security division.
Now, in 30 seconds or less.
It's hard.
What has been your success in business?
Success in business, it's really, it's reputation. As Warren Buffett said, we've spent the last 30-something years just on getting business on referrals. We haven't really done any marketing. We're starting to do it now, but it's just been on referrals, and that's the best thing, is when you have your clients are recommending you to their friends and their partners, and just having a company that people can rely on and people can turn to and feel comfortable with that. It's the best marketing that you can have.
And challenges you've been able to overcome?
Just technologies.